so many of us put expectations, put limitations on what we can do. And so this last trip is for you to open up, to think of what's next. Like, what can I actually do? And by you taking that trip, it is saying, like, I deserve this. I get this. I get what I want, and being able to show up in that way.
This is Get Unstuck Podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who prioritize their life first, business second. I'm Mudita Panmuk, your host, who dedicates my life to designing and building a business that supports lifestyle. We will learn together from entrepreneurs around the world how they overcome their life challenges, their business obstacles, and yet still get unstuck from the hamster wheel of burying themselves into their business. Because time is the number one commodity in the world that you cannot get back once it's gone. So let's shorten the learning curve and see how can we prioritize better. Let's get unstuck. Hi, Get Unstuck Nation. Our guest today, she's a champion, she's an author, and she's a coach for those who are ready to live their own life. You know, she has coached hundreds of individuals already to awakening them for their own potential. And I think this episode could go very in-depth, and it could be a deep one. So I hope this episode will inspire you to start living your own life. Without further ado, please welcome Mikkel Leslie to Get Unstuck Podcast today. Hi, Mikkel. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, I'm very excited because, you know, this topic is so dear to my heart and it is so in alignment with our Get Unstuck method philosophy. So before we get started, Mikkel, how did you get started to your coaching journey though?
Yes. So graduating high school, I did the thing that I was supposed to do. I went to engineering because I was good at science. I was good at math. I was like, okay, how do you combine those two? Well, that's engineering. So did that for about 9 months. And at that point, threw my hands, like, this is not it for me. Like, I don't want to be sitting behind the desk for so long. This is too much. So then I went into sales because I was like, I want to interact with more people. I want to have that connection. And I was doing a little bit at that first job that I was at. And so I went into technical sales, moved down to California, did that for about 4 or 5 years. And it was wonderful because I was working in factories across California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, a lot of the Western United States. And so it was incredible to be able to see how things were made. But in my heart, like, it kind of drained me each day that I went into different facilities because a lot of the places didn't want to see me or didn't want to see the things that I had to work with. I just had to go in and meet my quota to see people. So from there, I went into a startup where I worked at a robotic integrator, and I was doing sales and project management and a couple other things with them because it was a startup. And there it was like a tight-knit family because the stress was high, the deadlines were tight, there was so much pressure for us all, but it brought us all together. And so it was my first real experience of coming together in that environment to come together to create this goal, this outcome that we all wanted. So it was an incredible experience in that way. But like in my heart, my soul, I was stressed out. I was commuting quite a bit. Like, it was a lot for me. And my heart was like, this isn't it. Like, there's gotta be something else. Like, I'm so stressed. I don't know what to do. So from there, I was like, okay, I just need to get out. I need to get another job. So on the train, as I was on my commute to the job, I was applying for jobs, put my resume together. And so I saw one in the outdoor industry and I love the outdoors. So I was like, yeah, let's do that. So I went there. That one lasted for 9 months as well. And I was like, nope, this is not it. The commute was even worse there. And it just wasn't it. The nail in the coffin was I got pulled over on my way home from work one day and I was like, nope, this is it. Like, I'm done. Like, I can't handle this anymore. And so the reason I left there, actually, I needed a way to get out. And for me, that way was to say, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book about the women in the outdoors. And so I put in my 2 weeks notice, I left. And then my sister proceeded to tell me that I don't write. And she was totally right. Like, I didn't write at all at the time. And so it was a very rude wake up to be like, oh, what do I do now? And so during that time, I spent about 6 months backpacking and figuring out what I wanted to do with my life, what actually lit me up, what got me excited. And for me, it was helping people and being outdoors. So I moved out to Utah and started at a wilderness therapy program where I backpacked with kids and worked on their therapy outdoors. And there's where I learned a lot of the basis for what I coach now. A lot of your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors and how it impacts your day-to-day life. And things that working out all my previous jobs would have been super helpful. And so knowing this, I was like, I had to teach this to people. people because like I'm teaching it to the kids, but adults need this as well, and how much change and impact I can make for us all. So from there, I started coaching, and 5 years later, I'm here.
How going back to that period of time, how did you at least discover that this is not for you? This is not in it for you. This is not satisfy you anymore.
Yeah, I think there's so many things pile on me that like I just like people different signs or signals or like things weren't working out. And typically when things don't work out for me, I can like look up and be like, yeah, like something needs to change. And I think all of us get to a point where like things just keep on piling us, things go wrong. And you're just like, no, I can't do it. I got harassed on the train. I got that ticket. The commute was like 2 hours each way and I was in traffic all the time. Like there were like the work that I was doing wasn't fulfilling and they didn't have work for me to do. There were so many things lining up for me to be like, no, like I can't do this anymore. This isn't enough. And so that's what it was for me. It was like getting that ticket. Like that was the last call. I was like, I'm done. Like I can't do this anymore. So I tried to figure out the commute in so many different ways. I tried to figure it out, but it wasn't working. And so the stress just built up so much where like got to the point where I'm just like, I'm done. Like no more. Can't handle it.
So the feeling is telling you that this is like cannot handle anymore. But then what makes you decide to move on? That there are more in your life to pursue.
Yeah, I think for myself and so many people that coach with and see is like we need the next steps. We need to know like what's next. Because when we're stressed and overwhelmed, jumping ship and being like, I'm just gonna quit. Like for a lot of us, it's so scary because we're like, what are we gonna do? What's gonna happen? And so for me, that writing that book was that out to be like, okay, now I'm safe. Now I know what I'm going to do, even though it wasn't the case. And so like being able to have that plan of what those next steps are, even if you don't follow through with them, it can subside that fear, that stress, and allow you to take that next step in the direction that you want.
But which direction though? You know?
Yeah.
I think a very good, I mean, this is so hard. Like when you have too many options, I'm still having this issue though. When there are so many choices, too many options, I can't choose. So how can we know ourselves? How can we discover who we really are at least?
Right.
How you discover who you really are?
Right. I think so. When I took that 6 months off and didn't do anything, when I was doing that self-exploration, for me, it was asking myself questions. So I read What Color Is Your Parachute? And it's like an older book where it goes into questions about what do you want in your career? How do you want it to look? How do you want to interact with people? What does you want the building to have? Like all these different things to be able to really understand what kind of work that you want to do. And I think those questions are so pertinent to us because it really allows us to explore what is it that you actually want. And as you mentioned, there's so many different choices. And one of the things that makes it really hard to make decisions is stress. And oftentimes when you're in that state, when you're like, what's next? I got to figure it out. Like that is all stress. And so one thing that can be super helpful in that stage is to be able to like take a breath, relax and allow yourself to do things that you enjoy. Because in that state, in that flow of just life and enjoying things, then you can see like, oh yeah, I really enjoy going to the theater. I like speaking. I like doing these different things, whatever it is. Then you can lean into those more and more and figure out what's that next step for you to pursue it even more. Because the hardest thing to do is when you're in that stress state, when you're thinking like something's got to change, I got to get out of here, is to figure out what exactly is next for you. But you don't need to know everything. You just need to know one step, and that can lead you in the direction that you want.
But how can we exactly, like, is there any method for us to discover that though?
To find out what it is that we want exactly?
Yeah. Or to be like how unique we are, you know, like for myself at least, I think to learn how to know myself is the hardest. Like self-awareness is always hard. Like I always making this example, what to eat. For me, this is the hardest question. Like I don't know about anyone else, but for me to answer what do you want to eat on daily basis, this is the hardest question that I'm encounter every single day.
Yeah. Okay. So we can take this so many different directions, but one of them is human design. So human design is this amazing tool that combines astrology, I Ching, quite a few other methodologies into one magical thing that helps you understand who you are and how you work. And so there's 5 different types. There's different ways that you interact with the world around you. There's your superpowers, which I like to call your profile numbers. And then it tells you how you make decisions too. and how actually you process information. So for you, it'd be interesting to see, like within your charts, your human design chart, how it is that you process information. Because you may need to talk with one person, or you may need to talk with several people to figure out what it is that you want to eat for the day. And knowing those different parts of yourself can really open you up to be like, oh, this is a superpower of mine. Oh, this is how I make decisions. Oh, this is how it went wrong in the past. And this is how I can step forward in a way that actually feels in alignment for me.
Oh, so it also helps you making decision as well?
Yes. So it's fun because there's different, oftentimes in the world we're thought like, oh, you need to like put down your pros and cons of how, like the different things, different decisions that you want to make. But within human design, it teaches us that there's different ways that there's different types of different ways to make decisions. And 50% of the population is actually the emotional authority. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. Emotional authorities are meant to wait out the emotional wave of the experience that they're going through. So, you know, someone may ask you like, what do you want for lunch? And you're like, oh crap, I gotta figure it out. So you don't want to make a decision there. And then you might be like, oh, but I know what it is. So you get super excited. You don't want to make a decision there. You want to wait till you're actually neutral. And so for a lot of individuals out in the world, they make decisions when they're in a state of like, I need to get out of this situation. Like, I'm so stressed. I'm afraid I need to do something. And that's why they make decisions. And that can lead to disappointment, doubt, fear. Like so many things can lead up to that because they're not in that neutral state. Or on the other side, if they're super excited and someone gets them ramped up and they're like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Let's get going. Like, you should really do this. And they like buy into it, then that can lead to not so coherent solutions for them as well. But if they're gonna come back to neutral and be like, okay, I'm not high, I'm not low, like in the middle, I'm feeling good, but not like super excited, feeling good. So let's figure out what that decision is for me.
You know what I solved that problem? How I solve is I just make decision about that the day before.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that's one of the like super amazing things about the emotional authorities is sleeping on it. Just like allow yourself to sleep on it. My husband has to remind me all the time. It's like, just you don't have to make a decision today. Just sleep on it. I'm like, I don't want to make it now. So like you have these qualities about yourself. You want to move forward. But yes, sleeping on it is a huge thing, or like preparing for yourself of what you'll want to do in the future too.
Yeah, because I think making decision is the most time-consuming things in my life. So I just don't want to make decision on the day. I just do it the day before. That's how I solve it. So I know this is one thing. When we talk about the life dissatisfactions, right? That is from our side. But there are more when we are living in a society, because humans live in society, right? They are from our perspective, from the spouse perspective, from family perspective, or even friends group. But when we talk about living our own life here, so it's only us to make decisions, to like set expectation for our life, or how we co-living in this world.
Yeah.
What would be your opinion on that?
I think each of us are individuals. And so with that, only we ourselves know what's going to be right for ourselves throughout our whole lives. Yes, we can have opinions. Yes, we can like have relationships. And yes, please do. Like relationships are amazing. Community is amazing. Family is amazing. But at the end of the day, you are your own person. And I think different cultures see this in different ways, but I really am an advocate for understanding who you are and being able to step into your own power, your own voice, your own strengths, to then be able to be an example of what's possible, to show people like, yes, this is what I love. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm moving forward with my life. And this doesn't mean like shunning or pushing away everyone else. This is taking everyone on a journey of exploring what it is that they like and being curious and asking them questions like, oh, do you like doing that? Like, what is this? What's going on? And allowing yourselves to be able to connect on things that you're both passionate about, because that's when all of us thrive, is when we're doing what we love.
And what about, like, for example, when you were younger, the expectation wouldn't be from your side, right? You cannot choose for yourself what school you're going to get to, what you're going to study for. Sometimes the university you go, you cannot even make decision for yourself. But then when you grow up, then you can choose your own life then. Mm-hmm. This expectation, like, how can you manage it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will start by saying there are so many expectations that you probably see and unsee in your life. Like there's so many things behind the scenes in your brain and your body and people around you that are saying like, you need to show up like this. You need to like do this. You need to act like this way. But in reality, those are all shoulds. and shoulds you can listen to or not. And you get to see them at their face value as just someone else's opinion. And the more that you can see them as an opinion rather than fact or the rules of life, then you can release the expectation and be like, okay, I see you. I don't want to do that anymore. That's not for me. It's not helpful for the life that I am creating and where I'm going moving forward. And so when you're able to see them, the better. But seeing and noticing and distinguishing them can be a little bit of work. And so to be able to do that, creating space in your life is huge, to be able to take some steps back from going from that stress state, from worrying about everything, from questioning what you're wearing and how you're showing up and what you're saying, to just being. And so doing things that you love, I'm going to come back to that because it is such a beautiful way to be able to become present with where you're at. And it's going to be reading, it's going to be going on walks, it's going to be going to an arcade with your family. There's so many different ways that we can come back to us and where we're at. And once you're able to sort of slow down, then you can start to see and hear that voice in the back of your head being like, oh, you should do that. Like, why aren't you doing that? And the more that you notice that, the more you can start to question and be like, are you helping me right now? Or are you just like making me stressed? And the more that you can question that, the more you can be like, okay, like I'm ready to change you. Like this is not serving me and the life that I want to live.
I really like when you mentioned that we bring other people onto our journey as well. We didn't on this alone. So we are so a part of other people's journey along the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of something that some people may think that, what if they don't like us?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What if I haven't done enough?
Yeah.
So how we deal with this mindset then?
Yeah, I think it can be really hard in tight-knit groups or things that you've been in for a while. So this could be community, this could be family, this could be close friends. And as you shift and change in your own life, your relationships will likely shift and change. This is specific people within those relationships, but also like the relationship can change between the two people or it can fall apart. And so it depends on how each person is willing to show up in those ways. And so as you're changing, as you're stepping back more into you and shedding the layers of all those expectations, being like, this is me, like I'm showing up as me, whatever you say, I don't care about. And people like give you crap, people give you crap. You get to decide for yourself if you can set boundaries and be like, no, like I'm done with this. Like you keep on putting me down, you keep on showing up. You can tell them like, I don't appreciate this, where we're going with this. And so you'll see that some people like the new you, are appreciative of the new you, and like continue those relationships and build those. And oftentimes the other ones will start to fall away because you're not going to want to hear the crap. You're not going to want to listen to them complain about all the different things anymore because you've come to a state where you're enjoying your life more. And so it is this balance and knowing for yourself that as you grow and develop, and like throughout our whole lives too, we think that like oftentimes we think that our relationships are consistent throughout our whole lives. Relationships are going to be the same. But no matter what, those relationships are going to change. You may move, a friend may move, your sister may have a baby and have more time for that. There's so many different things that create change in our lives. And so by you stepping into yourself and who you want to be and like doing that personal development, it's only one of those pieces of change. And so many other things could come into play to create that change, but that's one of them. And the more that you can realize that's what's going on and move on from the relationships that are no longer serving you and step into the ones that are, the more fulfilling your life is going to be, as well as those that are around you too.
I know that you mentioned this in your website about helping your business owners, clients, preventing the drains clients of them or that not a good fit clients. What are the most issues that you encounter?
Yeah. The biggest thing is like trying to get clients, trying to make money, like having this pressure behind it, being like, I have to make money, I have to get clients, I have to like go. I have to do sales in this way. And none of it feels good. Those clients may not feel good. The sales process that they have might not feel good. Their website might not feel good, but it fulfills a formula or checks a box that they've been told. And those are the biggest thing, like trying to like fit a mold that they are not. And oftentimes it can be helpful in the beginning when you're just starting out to have a formula to be able to come back to being like, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. But as you develop, as you grow as a business owner, then you're able to see like and understand, wait, like this isn't working anymore. This is not for me. And so there is a change, a shift at some point in the process. And when you're able to step back and be like, this isn't serving me, like this is not going to help me grow, like it's draining me, the more you can see like, wait, if I let this client go, like what, like might freak out for a minute, but like what's going to be allowed in that process. Oh, I might be able to charge more. I might be able to have a more aligned client. I might have more fun in my business and want to work in the morning. There's so many benefits that can be had when you're in more alignment for your business and your life.
Talking about the high stress, high demand type of job, how can we be more compassionate toward ourselves?
Yes, there is a 3-step process that I love for compassion because it's solely like you think about it and like, okay, I can do 1 of 3 steps and go to there. So the first one is to understand that it actually makes sense of how you're feeling. Oftentimes when we get into that stress, doubt, fear, questioning, like what is going on, we like think that something's wrong with us. But in reality, things built up to that point. You know, you didn't go from like so happy and so excited to like sad and depressed in a second. And if you did, you probably need some other help. But if like in that process, like that process of change and like developing into that sad and depressed state, like questioning it, doubt, stress, whatever it is, there was things that happened. Your partner may have said they were going to make dinner and they didn't. You got home and you're like, why isn't dinner there? Then a client canceled for the next day. And then you got a bill and you didn't like it. There were so many things that built up to you being like, I don't like where I'm at. Like something's like, I don't like this. This isn't fun anymore. And so seeing and pulling back to be like, oh, that's what's going on. That's why I'm not feeling well is going to be so helpful for you to bring that compassion to yourself and be like, okay, it's not just like me. There's nothing like totally went wrong. It's okay. And that actually gets to the 3rd step, but we'll jump back to 2. And the 2nd step is to be able to understand that you're not alone. That feeling this way is a human process. That people across the world, even in that moment that you're feeling it, are feeling exactly the same way. People are probably going through similar experiences, whatever your experience is in that moment. And so know that you are not alone. Knowing that can be huge to be able to release the pressure that something is wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You are beautiful. You are amazing. You are a work of art yourself. And the more that you can realize like, okay, just being human, I'm human, it's okay. Then you can start to bring the compassion to yourself. And then the 3rd, so tell yourself that's going to be okay. Talk to yourself in a way that you would a child or a good friend or family member. Or be like, okay, yeah, it might suck right now, but you're safe. You're okay in this moment. It's like, if you can't get there, being like, it's going to be okay. Like, you're going to wake up, you're going to go to sleep, you're going to wake up. It's going to be a new day. It's going to be all right. Those 3 ways can go a long way to bring compassion to yourself.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be all right.
Yes.
So I have seen one thing in your website that is very interests me about travel transformation. I talked with you over here in Thailand during COVID. We have like stay vacation where we just move places to change the environment, but just stay there just to change the environment. But I really like the idea of travel transformation to like taking control of your own life again. Can you share that ideas to us?
Yes. So it is one of my beautiful programs where there's 3 trips involved. There's you come to me in Southern California on the beach. We go surfing, we walk on the beach, we go to the mountains, whatever it is in your jam, we do. I'm a coach. We dive into, okay, what's going on in your life? What's holding you back? Where do you want to go? Asking the big questions about life and allow you to explore what is it that you want and bring human design components in so you actually know who it is you are and the beautiful ways that you work. And so from there, you're able to explore and like ask these questions and then go back to your life and start to implement it and be able to see like, okay, like this is coming up. This is what's going on. So then I go to you and help you to integrate it into your life because it's so easy to go to a different space and say, I'm going to change this. I'm going to create this beautiful place because it's a new environment, something new. But going back to your old life can be so hard because all those same, your life is there, your partner, your kids, your work is there. And so all these different things that weren't there when you travel vacation are there. So I'll help you to integrate that into your life. And then the 3rd, as a trip to wherever you want across the world. We are world explorers and being able to see like, okay, yeah, I can actually go where it is that I want to. so many of us put expectations, put limitations on what we can do. And so this last trip is for you to open up, to think of what's next. Like, what can I actually do? And by you taking that trip, it is saying, like, I deserve this. I get what I want, and being able to show up in that way. So during that last call, we talk about like your life. You're like, however many years you have left in your life, because there's so many and there's so much potential of what can be had. And so it was this beautiful experience from thinking of what's next, where am I at, to integrating, to expanding to that next level, using traveling to be able to be that conduit to help you get there.
Why travel involved?
Yes. Yeah. When we're able to bring ourselves out of our day-to-day routine, there's so much that can be had, because the expectations, the drama, the day-to-day routine is not there. And so when we're able to explore a new place and just be shaken out of our like lives, like pulled out of it and dropped into a new place, you're like, oh, what is this? What's going on? And you can have those deeper conversations in that way, because no one's asking you to make dinner. You're not seeing the dirty bathroom. You're not seeing your day-to-day life, and you're able to just focus on you and what it is that you want.
So in case anyone want to work with you, where can they reach out to you then?
Yes, you can find me on my website, afulfilledlifecoaching.com, or on Facebook or LinkedIn with my name.
So I will make sure that all the links will be around here, as well as description and the show notes. So everyone, you have your own power to have your own life, and let's start living it. So in case you need any help, just make sure that you get to reach out to Mikkel. So thank you so much for joining Get Unstuck Podcast today, Mikkel.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
I hope this episode inspires you wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey, so that you can have your business that supports your lifestyle. Get a show note at getunstuckmethod.com/podcast. Review what we have learned together today and start implementing right now. See it by yourself. The result of your consistent action are worth it. You deserve the freedom to enjoy your life. Until the next episode, let's get unstuck.